What's going on, World Mobile Nation? Welcome to Dapp Central, your home for everything blockchain and crypto. My name is Fareed. As a part of today's bi-weekly stream, I'm going to be joined by my two co-hosts, followed by a very special guest coming straight from the official World Mobile team. Before we jump into his introduction, let me go ahead and bring up my two co-hosts. First and foremost, we've got Rob LLAP. Rob, good morning. How are you?
Hello, how's it going? Where are you at in the world today?
I'm in the ATL, man. I'm going to be doing actually a little bit of some relaxation, right? So taking a break from content creation after this stream and then going to check out, I think, what might be the Coke Factory.
Nice. I was actually there a couple of years ago. It's amazing.
I love it.
Really, really cool.
I love it. Weather's great so far. And yeah, it's just been a really nice experience to kind of just step away from home, step away from the everyday grind and actually enjoy the weekend. So how are you, man?
Good. Today is one of those grinding days. I have to go to work in a couple hours. I work the evening shift at my job. And so kind of had a kids basketball game this morning, went to that, and then just excited for this space. This is one of the highlights of my day.
Yeah, definitely. I think a huge highlight for the entire World Mobile community. So I want to thank you for giving us some of your time before obviously having to head over and do your regular fiat mining. Hopefully, everything goes well with that. Let's go ahead and bring up the two other guests here. Next, we've got Clover Nodes, rocking the Earth Node hat. Welcome along, man. How are you?
Hey, good to see you guys. Good to see everyone here. Speaking of this Earth Note hat, this is actually a community made hat by one of our Earth Node operators, who actually, his name is Matt, and he surprised us all with these hats.
Mark.
So shout out to Matt, Mark. Sorry, shout out to Mark. Oops, sorry, Mark. If you're listening, Mark, thank you so much. It's an excellent hat. Appreciate it. But yeah, I'm doing good. Good to be here. Fareed, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. I love doing these streams with you guys. It makes my life so much easier than trying to live stream by myself. And obviously, you guys are knee deep into World Mobile. After this last community Twitter space, I saw your post, which actually is going to be, I think, the key driver for today's conversation. So I want to say thank you to you as well. And shout out to Mark as well. I've got, I think, two of those Earth Node hats. Of course, I'm on travel, so I don't have mine with me to show off, but I should have some swag coming in very soon that I can actually start to rep during these streams moving forward. So thank you both again, gentlemen, for joining us. We've got quite the crew tuning in here. We've got D, Nishion, Reptilian, Miku Vision, Wei K, HYDRAX, Lord is in the house, Dominic Shepard. Just so many people tuning in. Want to say thank you all. As we just get ready to kind of kick things up, if you guys are able to, number one, smash that thumbs up. It really does make a difference. But then number two, go ahead and share this out, whether it's on YouTube or whether it's on X, make sure to go ahead and spread the word here as we're beginning to tune in. And like I mentioned before, we've got a special guest here from the actual World Mobile team coming along today to give us a little bit more alpha as to what is going on. So without any further ado, we've got Emmanuel Young, the official community manager for the World Mobile team. Welcome aboard, Web3 Cat. How are you, man?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited to be here. Obviously, we're coming off the back of two community updates, the ENO Alliance one by Rob and Clover Node, and the official one. So there's lots to discuss, and I'm ready to discuss it.
Yeah, thank you for giving us a little bit of your time. Maybe before we even just move forward into our normal segments here, right, which include reviewing WMT scan, talking about the Earth nodes, and then diving into like the main meat of the content, I want to maybe just give the community an opportunity to learn a little bit more about you. I saw not too long ago a Meet the Mobilers post, and I think you're actually one of the most recently featured. But for anybody who's maybe, hearing your voice for the first time, seeing you for the first time, can you give us a little bit about what you do for World Mobile, how long you've been with them, and just your experience overall so far?
So I guess I'm a World Mobile newbie. I've been with World Mobile, it feels like forever, but it's only been two and a bit months now. I actually first heard about World Mobile over a year ago when I was sort of looking for more impact projects in this space, and I quietly followed what was going on, but not in depth. So yeah, I ended up here, and I'm glad to be here. Briefly on my background, so I've been in the sort of Web3 crypto space since around 2013, so September 2013. I bought my first Bitcoin on eBay, actually. That's how rugged it was back then. There wasn't even Twitter like it was now. There's more sort of Reddit and the forums. Yeah, I built a sort of brokering business over about 3.5 years, and then started to understand more about the technology. I started to fall in love with DeFi and sort of fintech, actually, as I was facing a lot of pressure from the banking system to keeping that business open. And that's when I fell in love with it. So I started building communities around it. I wanted to onboard people to the space, and that led me naturally into marketing, which has eventually led me into into World Mobile. So for me, World Mobile is a great combination of everything that I'm interested, my skills, and the intersection between our technology and the real world. It's fantastic.
I love to hear everybody's coming to crypto story, and it sounds like you've been here for quite a bit of time. So kudos to you, and congratulations on landing the gig with World Mobile. I mean, myself, Rob, Clover, we're here every other week, and we talk about World Mobile and the impact that it's going to have. I think it's going to be one that's going to be so huge, and for you to be contributing directly to it, I think will be a benefit for you looking back, 2, 3, maybe 4, 5 years from now. Again, after seeing the impact worldwide, in and outside of blockchain, that a project like World Mobile can basically bring forth. Now, we did recently have a community Twitter space. Again, that's going to be, I think, the main focus here for today's content. Again, we're being joined by Manny, and hopefully you don't mind me calling you Manny moving forward. I actually had a little bit of I guess you can call it a brain fart yesterday. I didn't realize that there's also Emmanuel Gratch. And so I got you guys confused. So I do apologize about that. But I think moving forward, Rob said that he refers to you as Manny. I'll go ahead and refer to you as Manny, and hopefully, okay, you're okay with that.
Sorry.
But yeah,
It's all good. It's all good.
Perfect. So we had the community Twitter space that took place for the viewers. If you guys missed that, we've got an amazing write-up coming in from Clover Nodes. We're going to be reviewing that here in just a minute. Before we do dive into that, I do want to jump over into WMT Scan, take a look at some of the data, and then also just take a look at some of the recent sales with the Earth nodes. We had the floor actually spike up to about 90,000 ADA for a little bit of time. I think there may have been some new listings that have come along since then, but that was interesting to see. Again, just the supply continuing to dwindle as we're now getting closer and closer to Aya and just the mainnet launch for World Mobile. So let me go ahead and share my screen here. We've got some support coming in here from HYDRAX to Emmanuel. Emmanuel's done an amazing job so far for WMT. I mean, I couldn't agree more. Just a quick plug. If you guys are not already in the official channels for World Mobile, definitely make sure to go ahead and join those. I'll go ahead and see if I can add those to the actual descriptions here moving forward for anybody who wants to just kind of jump into their Discord. I think you guys also have a Telegram. What other channels are available, Emmanuel? Can maybe touch on that as well for anybody who wants to just kind of get in tune or in sync with you and the rest of the team.
So yeah, naturally we have those, and we have our Reddit page as well, which we're trying to keep active too, because we get a lot of interest there. And then obviously there's Twitter, so you can follow us on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. Pretty much every single channel we're on there in some capacity.
Great. I think you're on mute.
I definitely am. Thank you for that, Clover. Let's jump into the first segment here for today's video, which is the review of WMT Scan. As it stands right now, the WMT price is sitting at 16 cents. Scrolling down, we've got 1,365 air nodes. I think we're up already over 100 plus air nodes deployed in the year of 2024. Off to an amazing start. We did see network consumption hit a new all-time high, which I think was right at about 9 terabytes. I saw Clover actually posted a tweet from the bot that keeps track of all the stats here. So it's really good to see that. We've got 62,000 unique users in the last 24 hours, which I also think is a brand new all-time high, with the network up over 639 days straight. Looking at some of the top earning air nodes, which this does look to be a slower timeline right now. We've got the top air node processing over 12 gigs of data, equaling or putting out about $51 worth of revenue, followed by additional air nodes at around the $50 range. So with respect to just the air nodes that continue to deploy, I know that we recently saw a pretty big deployment within Pakistan that now appears to be well on its way to doubling the amount of air nodes deployed within Zanzibar. We have yet to see any additional air nodes deployed in the USA, right? Or in Reno since the first 5 were deployed, I believe right around New Year. So I'll kind of turn it over to the panelists here, Rob, Clover, Emmanuel. What are you guys' thoughts surrounding the initial rollout with 2024, with the team coming out and deploying so many air nodes so quickly in the first month of the year?
Well, I think that, we've mentioned this before on different things over the past several months. There's a lot more air nodes out there than we're aware of. And that was confirmed on the AMA on Thursday by the team. He said that Mickey said that in Reno right now there's the 5, and he goes, those are still in testing phases. Well, they're still putting up more. You're seeing Christian put up air nodes for testing purposes. Almost every day you're seeing some sort of a tweet from Christian about what the work he's doing. The guys up in Washington State, Mav 100, they have 6, 7, 8 that they're moving around and testing right now and getting data on. They were on the X Space last weekend, talking about that a little bit. I think that we're going to see a lot more coming on right now. What they're doing is they're making sure that these are in a good spot, that they're working, that they're transmitting properly, and it's only after that they are confident that this is the placement for them, things are working. At that point, they reveal them. The other thing is in Pakistan, again, World Call has over 3 million subscribers in the Lahore area and surrounding area. I mean, there's 11 million people in Lahore, and World Call is one of the biggest network providers there, and they're onboarding like crazy. And we saw a couple weeks ago, we talked about how we saw them spread out of the 2 suburb areas that they were in, and now they're spread out into more neighborhoods. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that. I think that they might even be in place. And Mickey hinted at it. There's going to be more in place that it's going to really blow our minds when these things come online on WMT scan. I think the other thing is they're probably holding out because he said there's going to be an updated WMT scan, and when that comes out, I think it's going to be a lot more interactive. We're going to see a lot more, and I think that things are going to maybe transmit a little bit quicker as far as from the data that they're doing to us being able to see the information that's coming from them. So I'm excited to see that these things are happening. I know there's a lot more in the bag, and so moving forward, it's again, don't be surprised when you see that number. Maybe 2 weeks from now, hitting 1,500. It might be 1366. It might be 1,500. There are many more air nodes that are actively working right now than the 1365, but it's a matter of making sure that everything's tested and ready, because the last thing you'd hate to do is you'd hate to see that go to 1,400 and then all of a sudden it says 1,200 again because they did it too early and those things weren't ready to go.
Thank you for that, Rob. Any maybe sort of additions coming in from Emmanuel or Clover? If not, we're going to jump into the Earth nodes, and then I want to go in and jump into a particular trend that I think has captured world mobile along its rise. So over to either one of you. If not, we're going to keep things moving along.
Yeah, sure. I mean, Rob has pretty much hit the nail on the head there. Like, we're all about quality here at World Mobile. Like, every time, the team's really ambitious, Mickey's really ambitious, but every time an ambitious plan is put forward, it's always, what is the simplest step to get right first and then take it to the next level? And so that's what you're seeing with the WMT scan rollout, basically, of the air nodes. As you all know, there's things going on in Washington State as well. They're not reflected on WMT scan yet. And there's things going on in Mozambique. And yeah, in Pakistan, it's been fantastic. Like 107 new air nodes this year alone has been deployed there. And I can tell you there are more coming, 100%. So yeah.
I'm excited to hear that. Clover, anything you want to add? If not, we're going to jump into the Earth nodes.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I just wanted to add, basically, I read these weekly roundups, and I was looking at, I did one last week, and I kind of posted like a 4-month comparison of what World Mobile did in 2023 versus now, and there was like 430 total air notes at that time, and right now we're like sitting at over 1,300 air notes, and what the unique users going from like 15,000 to over like 60,000, just in like 4 to 5 months period of time, and that just what such little with only like 2 to 3 countries on there, and now that we have United States coming on board, it's gonna be really fun to watch. And just like Mickey said on the recent AMA call, there's like a ton of interest coming up from like partners on the ground that are like taking note from from the roll up in Pakistan and Zanzibar, and it's going to be interesting to see what other businesses start joining World Mobile in the mission to connect the unconnected. And yeah, pretty much that's what I wanted to add.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and I couldn't agree with you more. Let's jump into this next segment, which is surrounding the Earth Node NFTs and just some of the recent activity that we've seen on that end. So between our last stream and today, there's only been one actual NFT sale, which I find to be interesting. Now, we did spend a little bit of time talking about the listing depth and just how many of these are actually listed on the open market. So as it stands, out of the 1,000 NFTs, we have less than 1% actively listed. Now, the floor price currently sits at 80,000 ADA. And for a brief moment, we did have the floor price, I think, at about 96,000 ADA. If I jump back over to the NFT tab here, we can see that I think there's only about 9 or 10 of these actually available for sale. So as you guys can see here, these are definitely being held for the long term. Now, one thing I noted here is the listing depth, right? So we're not seeing a lot of NFTs or multiple NFTs being listed at the same exact price, meaning that as we begin to see some of these floor prices being picked up or some of these floor NFTs being picked up, that we should have a pretty big increase in the actual price of the NFTs themselves. Now, traditionally, when we get more of an uptick in the floor price, we tend to see people that then are coming into profit listing their NFTs on the open market as well, right? So it'll be interesting to see, as the floor price breaks through 100K and begins to hold that as support, if we begin to see new NFTs coming out onto the market from people that potentially bought them or invested in them at a much lower price, or if they're going to be able to actually hold them and just kind of actually utilize them when the actual mainnet comes along. We touched on this as well. Once mainnet launches, I personally don't expect to see more NFTs coming online or onto the open market because they're actually going to be locked up in order for those operators owning them to actually be running their Earth node. So wanted to quickly highlight that there. So I'll turn it over to the guests here. If maybe any of you guys want to jump in, you guys can go ahead and maybe just add your takes on this. If not, we're going to move over into this next trend, which Emmanuel just got off of a stream actually touching on this trend as well. So we'll turn it over to him to kind of hear a little bit about his experience surrounding that.
Yeah, I'll jump in. I just want to say something real quick. There isn't too many Earth notes for sale at the moment. There's only 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You have to keep in mind that some of these Earth notes that are for sale currently are there for a reason, for a religious reason. Actually, I was speaking with someone on the chat, and there's people in the community that are not able to stake the token, I believe, for religious purposes. So that's why they have them up so high for sale. That's one of the things that we have to keep in mind. But I am a firm believer that once mainnet goes live and these Earth notes are going to start being utilized, even ITN actually, we're going to start seeing them disappear from the market. Because there is such limited supply of these things that I highly doubt people are gonna keep on offering them for such low prices. So if you are on the verge to purchase one of these things, I think now it's your best bet. Not financial advice.
Yes, definitely not financial advice. I think Rob maybe wanted to add something here as well. Rob?
So just real quick thing about the price, because we talked about previously how we've seen a lot of sales happening in that 50 to 60,000 ADA range, and that really last week the floor kind of got cleaned up and it went up to 95. Somebody just posted one for 80,000 ADA. If you look at the pricing when those things were selling for 60,000, this was closer to 55 cent ADA at the time. It's gone down a little bit. We're hovering at that 50, 52 cent range right now. And one thing, I was having a conversation with somebody who's really embedded in the tokenomics of World Mobile, and we were talking about these things. And you have to consider a couple things here when you're looking at this. People like to pick and choose which numbers they want to compare things to analytically. It's either, are you comparing it to the price in Bitcoin, the price in USD, the price compared to ADA. So there's a lot of numbers, and so for consistency's sake, I'm just going to use US dollars. If you look at the price right now for the one that's listed, it's 80,000 ADA. That's, according to JPEG Store, it says $41,000, right? So that's, if you think about historically, the price of an Earth node, what would it take to either reserve one back in the day when it was 100,000 WMT is what you had to have in your vault to reserve it and lock it in, or once these NFTs got listed, even in the auction, when the average price was 36,000 WMT is what you had to pay in on top of your 100,000. The price was falling at that point. And so the overall reservation price has always been historically averaged after the initial coin release here in the United States, at least when the price surged real briefly. It's been in that $30,000 to $35,000 range. It's come down quite a bit. We want to talk about, well, the highest sale price of an NFT was 128,000. If you go back and you look at that, because I've done the math on it, that was end of September. The price of ADA was 24.9 cents US, which if you that's a $31,000 NFT. Yeah, it was 128,000 ADA. And then there's the argument, well, if you're a buy and hold kind of a guy, maybe you've had that ADA for 3 years and you paid 6 cents for it, whatever. That's why you can't look at it that way. You have to look at what's a consistent measure that we can do all the time, because the price of ADA fluctuates. So the highest sale price for this NFT was $31,872. And if you consider that to the lower pricing that I've seen was right after Rare. We all FOMO'd like crazy after Rare, and people were buying more token. People were you saw a real spike in sales at the end of August after Rare Evo, when we all got to meet Mickey and the team. We all got really inspired, and a lot of people bought. The average price there was we saw it as low as about $23,000, but within that month period, we're talking between $23,000 and $31,000. Is what the sale price was when you broke it down into USD. So right now, prices are pretty high, even though it's not the high in ADA. And the other thing that you have to remember, if you haven't bought one of these yet, there's 100,000 WMT embedded in a smart contract for that NFT. So you have to take that out. That's about $17,000 in value right there. So you're paying a premium right now. If you bought this NFT right now, you're paying a premium of about $24,000 is what you're paying to have the rights to operate this network on top of what's embedded there. Because in a way, you kind of you're holding on to that 100,000 WMT. So these are just things to think about here. What kind of money are you putting into it? What kind of money are you holding? If you try and lowball the market just because you want to sell, I wouldn't do it personally. I'm not going to sell mine for these prices. But you're very likely, if you're comparing it to US dollars and not the ADA that you bought it with or the WMT that you reserved it with, prices are pretty high right now. And I think that's a good thing. I think that we're only going to see this go up as people start to realize the value. Mickey talked about on that call, we're going to see Minutes Network using the IA chain. Earth node's going to process those things. There's other mobile network operators that want to come in and use the ION network, which Earth nodes are the only thing that's going to be on there to process these transactions and finalize things to the blockchain. There's going to be a ton of value. And we're going to, like Cal said, we're going to see prices go up and up, and we're going to see the availability go down. The team is still holding 129 Earth nodes. And so when they're going to sell, what chain are they're going to sell on? How is that going to look? They haven't announced yet, and I don't think it's going to happen for a while. I think it's going to stay scarce. So if you're thinking about getting an Earth node, you have to consider the price and all these things, but then you have to realize what is the upside versus the downside to it. And I think the AMA that we're all super excited about revealed a lot about what that could mean. So again, just a little bit of context to put into the pricing of these Earth nodes and how some of that value works.
I really appreciate the mathematical approach that you've taken there. I want to take an opportunity to actually give a huge shout out to HYDRAX. So HYDRAX just plugged me in here with an awesome tweet with one of them highlighting Earth nodes and a second one highlighting the growth of World Mobile. And maybe we can turn it over to Emmanuel after this and again talk about this new narrative. But I could not move along from this segment without actually bringing this up. So let me go ahead and share my screen here. Shout out to HYDRAX again, huge contributor to the community. Prior to this, I think we gave HYDRAX some kudos for also putting together a language learning model or utilizing ChatGPT to basically feed it all the information surrounding World Mobile that we have to date and allowing for that to be disseminated to the community in an easy to understand manner. So HYDRAX, thank you for plugging this in here. We've got the monthly breakdown since October all the way to January with respect to the number of holders, the floor price for these NFTs. I want to say, I mean, maybe I'll let you guys chime in there. Can you guys maybe confirm what that transaction queue is? That's the transaction quantity, and then how many were listed. It's very clear to me we're getting slight increase in the number of holders. Again, I don't think that we're seeing these things trading a lot of hands, but the very clear thing there is that second row where we see the floor price at 32,000 all the way bumped up to $41,000, which Rob just mentioned in USD terms. So these are getting more expensive over time as the price of ADA is also increasing over time. So if you're actually an NFT holder, you're benefiting, on two separate fronts, right? Not only is the ADA valuation going up, the floor price is now supporting or showing that 80K might be the support, but the value of ADA is also raising against the dollar, therefore making it that much more valuable as well. Now, that's not it though. We've also got an additional post, again, shout out to HYDRAX, coming in here on just the total growth for World Mobile. So we've got a rise from 835 air nodes all the way up to 1,300, which we just talked about. In terms of user data, we just highlighted that 62,000 threshold being a new all-time high. In terms of data, a peak of 9.2 terabytes, which was also a new all-time high. And then the buyback has more than doubled in the last 4 months. I couldn't be any more bullish on World Mobile, especially after seeing these graphics here. So shout out to HYDRAX, maybe needs to be plugged in here with Emmanuel. If you guys are not already connected, I would love to see World Mobile even just kind of carrying this out forward, right? And doing this officially and sharing this on your official channels as well. So thank you very much here for this information, HYDRAX. Yeah, really great charts here. A lot of support coming in from the community. So Emmanuel, you're the guest here for today's show. Anything that you want to maybe touch on with respect to the EarthNode NFTs? Do you maybe own one? I'm not sure if the team's legally allowed to own any, or is there any maybe comments you want to share about just the growth of World Mobile? And then we're going to keep the conversation moving along.
So I don't want to say too much here for risk of being a member of the team and coming across as financial advice. But what I will say here is on the air node figures, the user figures, the data figures, as we discussed, that's only reflective of what we want to show. So that is the sort of tested, the well established data. So that's something to look forward to, I suppose. And I know Rob and Clover nodes here. They can testify to this, I suppose, is the word. The ENOs are confident, and that's reflected in this data here. So yeah, those are the 2 points I'd like to add.
Thank you. And again, we definitely know that you can't speak too much from a financial perspective, but we do appreciate you joining here and sharing as much as you can. Okay, now that we've jumped through, the initial portion of today's call, where we kind of dove into WMT scan, how things are looking in the ENFTs, there's been a growing narrative, and I want to give a shout out to another member here in the community that's kind of sparked my interest into taking a closer look at this particular trend. So that's going to be Dpin, right? Decentralized Physical Infrastructure Networks, I believe is what it stands for. And I've just been seeing more and more tweets and just more and more conversation around this particular word. So it's really interesting. I want to say probably started about 3 or 4 months ago. And this was when it was just kind of emerging. I was seeing a lot of people outside of the Cardano space posting about Dpin, as well as RWAs, or real world assets, right? Tokenizing things that are physical that we can actually touch and bringing them on and giving them some sort of representation on the blockchain. So those are two of the biggest narratives. Now, granted, a lot of the Cardano community projects weren't included in those initial conversations, but it seems that as of late, the Cardano community projects, including World Mobile and Iagon, providing a decentralized storage or data storage network, are now being included. So most recently, though, I saw Jeff, who posted this here, highlighting the fact that the actual search for Dpin has been on the rise. Now, this prompted me to actually take a look at a very similar trend, right, with NFTs, which I think was the narrative at the peak of the bull market back in 2021. So I'm sure you guys here on the call can remember, hearing about Sandbox, hearing about Decentraland, hearing about Cornucopias, Pavia, even just Meta changing their name, around that particular time. And NFTs was the hype. We had influencers, all buying Bored Apes, all of that hype. So what I did is I jumped over to Google Trends here, and I actually looked up the search term NFT. Looks like we may have just lost Emmanuel there. Now, when I looked up NFT, we could see the clear peak here in search volume around the same time that Bitcoin had topped out. So Bitcoin topped out at $69,000 right around the November timeline. So we had a peak of the search term NFT peaking out about a month or so later, again, when everybody was looking to find out more about NFTs. So if we take a very similar look, but this time we search for the term Dpin, right, which again seems to be the buzz, we're starting to see a breakout with a lot more people beginning to look up what this actually means. Now, in addition to that, there was a huge post that came out here where Binance, one of the biggest and one of the largest centralized exchanges, had gone in and done some research, and within some of these Dpin projects actually listed World Mobile as well as Iagon. So here at the very bottom, within the wireless 5G category, we have an official mention of World Mobile, and then we've also gotten an official mention of Iagon here as well. So it seems like with this narrative ramping up, we haven't even gotten to the bull market yet. More people are finding out about Dpin, and when they're looking up Dpin, they're eventually going to come across some of these projects, right? They may not be able to invest in all of them, but if they take the time and do their due diligence, they may run across something like World Mobile. So to me, this was a very bullish sign to see somebody like Binance doing their own due diligence and then also listing out World Mobile here, making this formal. Because if you guys recall, when we had Rick Middleton on, I think it was 2 shows ago, we talked about the fact that Masari had released a very similar graphic, and they were highlighting Dpin projects to look into for the next upcoming bull market, but they completely left out World Mobile. So it seems like things might be changing. People are finally opening up their eyes to what World Mobile is doing. And I wanted to highlight that there, and also, again, give a shout out to Jeff for kind of sparking that conversation surrounding Google search trends and everything else like that. So over to the guests here, whether that's Rob, Clover Nodes, or Emmanuel. Maybe we start with Emmanuel this time, because I know you said that you just came off of a recent stream, right? Talking about how you can explain Dpin to your family members, etc. And so, what were your sort of takeaways from something like that? And then you being knee deep, in a protocol that focuses on Dpin, how do you explain this to somebody who's coming into the space for the first time, who has no idea, about how these infrastructure networks work?
So that's a very interesting question. And actually, I'm going to throw a curveball here and say that you don't need to explain Dpin to people. That's the whole point of Deepin. Deepin allows for Web3 technology to be explained in terms of the service it's providing. So if I was to talk to my, the analogy is how do I explain this to my grandma? That's what we use sort of colloquially. I would say to my grandma, do you want a better internet service, or internet service full stop? Do you want to earn a few extra dollars or pounds or whatever it is you use whilst you're driving? Do you want to book a nice holiday? And then you go onto these platforms and you can connect to the internet through World Mobile. You can book a holiday on D Travel. You can earn a bit more on Demo Network. So we don't have to actually explain Deepin to anybody, and that's actually the beauty of it. And I guess one of the things that leads to is a focus on real world services. So we have a real problem in this space, and we could put up all the graphs on this. All revenue in this space is cyclical and tied to the market. Revenue often comes from transaction fees, yield, or price appreciation. Deepin allows us to decouple completely from speculation-based revenue. So we can start to build sustainable businesses that are based on demand. Everyone here right now is using the internet and paying a regular subscription for the internet. We'll do that for 12 months a year for the rest of our lives, probably. And that's what Deepin enables. And that's what World Mobile is tapping into. So yeah, I can speak a lot on this. So I want to give the floor to others, but I'll happily come back and speak some more on Deepin.
Yeah, no, I think that the floor is yours. Again, we don't have you here all the time. And so I would love to, really hear about what your thoughts are on this topic. Rob, or maybe Clover, what are your thoughts surrounding the search terms, just the entire narrative that's evolving, or just the credibility that World Mobile is now receiving, with respect to some of these bigger platforms doing their own due diligence?
I personally think it's a great thing, that World Mobile is being mentioned by Masari now, and then they're being included in the Binance, report that we're seeing. And it's, in general, I think when you talk about Dpin, it's just great that, we're kind of essentially taking power away from those centralized entities, and we're giving them back to the people, and putting decentralization first. When you go out there and when you install these air nodes, you're building a community private network, and people benefit from that firsthand, versus someone like Verizon, who kind of takes away all the power away from people and centralizes everything. As far as like trends goes, I'm gonna use, I know you said like the Dpin trend has been, kind of taking us by surprise, and you show that chart how it's raising, and compared it in a way to NFTs, but I just see the NFT trend as kind of like a trend without utility, especially those, and maybe a lot of people will hate me for this, but especially these profile pictures, the PFPs. I mean, you buy one of these things, and we saw that in the last bull market. There was so many projects doing the same exact thing. They offer you this profile picture, you love it, it's great. There is a big community and hype behind it, but then 99% of the time, these creators cash in and they move on, and then once the hype kind of dries out, it's gone. Your investment is gone. And so the reason why I'm really bringing this up is because I believe like the Deepin narrative, it's basically here to stay, because you're actually buying actual physical infrastructure that's going to continuously, provide income for people, whether that's like through, telecommunications, like in world, like World Mobile, for example, or that's like data, or maybe even driving. On there's like so many different projects. I was actually listening to that same space that Emmanuel was on, and I was just kind of like, researching all these projects that are like in the Deepin space, and I'm like, wow, that's crazy. And like, there's like so much cool stuff that you get to learn, and my imagination just keeps on like going wild when I think about these things. So yeah, it's an exciting time, and I think the Deepin narrative, it's good, it's here to stay, basically. Yeah.
It's definitely here to stay. Before I turn it over to Rob, I want to highlight one thing there. So I think what I was trying to show with that comparison of the NFT search volume versus the Deepin is that it just seems to be general interest. I do completely agree with you that, when the NFT bull market was taking off, because it's a lower barrier to entry, we saw people that were not qualified to actually create an NFT project, creating a project and extracting liquidity from people that were unsuspecting or that just didn't know how NFT projects work. I do agree with you that, with the Dpin narrative, it's going to be a lot harder for people to create a Dpin project to classify themselves as a Dpin, or as to classify themselves within the Dpin category, I should say, to then actually draw in investors, right? So when the bull market actually kicks off, I don't see many new projects coming out in the Dpin sector that aren't already there, that are building up, their community, their infrastructure, and just their voice. Whereas with the NFT projects, you had launches and mints, back to back to back to back, with people that weren't docs, people that weren't sharing information, because again, the barrier to entry was so low. So I do appreciate you bringing up that difference there. I wanted to just kind of touch on that I think it's going to be a lot harder for new market entrants to come into the Dpin narrative, and those that are already here, I think, will benefit the most, especially as people are beginning to do their research now and trying to understand which ones are the good place to invest into. So over to Rob, any thoughts maybe surrounding the Dpin narrative, the search trends, or just the acknowledgement from Binance?
Well, if you remember several weeks ago, when Masari came out with their original article, they omitted World Mobile. And then after some people made some very valid points, they redid their chart, they put World Mobile on there. And if you remember also, one of the big things, there's a circular graph, and it showed the ones that have the really high dollar, high net valuations, right in the middle. What's the market cap? And then as the rings got bigger, it was the smaller ones, and World Mobile was in that $50 to $100 million market cap range. And I feel like that's really misleading. Part of what happens, we were joking about The Simpsons last time. We were talking about how what Bill Gates does is he buys up all these starter companies, and then he basically roughs them up and takes their tech. A lot of what you see in the tech field is somebody hears about an idea somebody's working on, and they try and copy it, manufacture it, throw something out there quick and put it out there first, so they get that first mover effect, even if they don't know what the heck they're doing. Even if they have no expertise in the field, they try and get their name out there first, and they build the hype around that. And then when somebody legitimate comes up, oh, you're just copying what they did. Well, actually, no, we've been doing this for a while. We know what we're doing, and we're building this the right way. We're not trying to hype this thing. We're trying to get the proper momentum. And I feel like that's what World Mobile's struggling with right now, is they're coming into a space where there's a couple of names that household names that people know, if they've been following this idea of Dpin for a while, regardless of what the name was before Dpin. And World Mobile's trying to really, not break into the club, but they're trying to just elevate themselves in what they're doing, and people are starting to take notice of that. But we're fighting that quote unquote first mover effect with a few things. What World Mobile has going for them, and how this is going to work well for World Mobile, is the team of experts that Mickey has and the co-founders have surrounded themselves with. People like Zach from Australia, who's the master of coin, as I like to call him, the head of token, does the tokenomics. The guy is an expert. He in numbers and figuring out just how everything works from a financial standpoint. The guy's a genius. Look at James Tagg. The guy invented touchscreen, for crying out loud. The team that World Mobile has here, they're not, and what they're also not doing is they're not just saying, hey, here's an idea, maybe this will work, and they throw 55 things on the wall and see if one of them sticks. That seems to be a trend in crypto and in some of these original Deepin projects. They just throw some ideas out. There's no testing, there's no expertise, they don't know what they're doing. When World Mobile says something, just like with the air nodes and the map that we talked about a little bit ago, they're testing, they're back testing everything, they're double and triple checking everything, and then they're announcing, oh, by the way, we're doing this. And when World Mobile announces something, they've been doing it for a while. That it's ready to go. That they're gonna launch something, and it's gonna have very, very little questionality about it. It's gonna be, hey, by the way, here's a product and we're deploying it. Get ready. Not, hey, maybe we can think about how to do this 5 years from now, maybe, possibly. We don't know if it'll work or not. And so I think that's World Mobile's strength here. And you're going to see World Mobile being the front runner in all these charts, Masari, Binance, search engine searches. You're going to see World Mobile pop up, because what they're doing is they're building things the right way. They're making sure that things are reinforced and they're ready to go. And so I'm very excited to see making these charts, just as the Dpin narrative is starting to become very popular. We belong on these charts, but what's going to happen is we have that little bit of that first mover deficit right now, because there's a few other names in this space. I think that as this happens, though, it's going to be one of the things where they're going to have to keep World Mobile off these charts just to give other people attention. That's the reality. This is going to be so much bigger, and it's going to cover so many different sectors because of all the vision that they've had for years and years, and they've been implementing, and we're just starting to hear about. So I'm very, very excited about it. I think the other thing too, and I'm sorry I'm rambling here, the bias that some people have because they're tribalists and they have their maxis for certain blockchains, and that's one thing that World Mobile has done so well is we've already bridged to Conflux, BNB, and Ethereum. And so this is not just a Cardano project. This is a project that the blockchain is going to be the Aya blockchain that they are building, that's going to be able to connect and work with and see what's happening on those other blockchains. So this is going to be truly a collaborative effort here, where we're not going to have just one crypto community from one blockchain of maxis. And that way, right now, I think there's so much bias against Cardano that if World Mobile said, "Hi, we're a Cardano project," which they're not, that's kind of where we started to build this community, but we're going to be kept off those lists. People aren't going to pay attention if they have a Cardano bias, and we've seen that. We see that in the all the digital crypto media. There's a bias against Cardano, and so I think as this thing grows and we not shun Cardano but become our own blockchain that follows Cardano, follows Ethereum, and builds a community not of a crypto but of World Mobile people. We're not going to be left off any of these lists anymore. We're going to be at the front of these lists because we're going to have the best tech, the biggest market cap, the most expertise on the team, and going to be doing the most good throughout the world in every sector here. So very, very exciting.
Nicely put there. I think we may just need to have a separate conversation surrounding the stigmatism around Cardano. You know, I think that in itself merits the time. I know that, and I'm not really sure. I'm not sure if it's a sense of people being threatened by projects launching on Cardano or what it is. But you do raise a good point there. You also talked about the experience of the team, right? So it's amazing to see people that have been in this space for 20 plus years before even Cardano was around already trying to revolutionize the world. And now that they're within the blockchain space, I should say, not necessarily Cardano, but within the blockchain space, they're able to utilize that to more quickly and more fairly, right, in a decentralized, permissionless way, reach their goals. I do want to go ahead and bring up two charts here that were actually shared with me by Emmanuel. So Emmanuel, turn it back over to you, maybe to kind of give us some closing thoughts surrounding the Deepin narrative and just the importance of these two graphics here, you know, and what your thoughts are about those.
Sure. Well, I mean, closing thoughts about the Deepin narrative. So the reason why we're appearing in all these maps, I can tell you for certain, is that the World Mobile team is working to make that happen. Every time a publication posts about Deepin, I am contacting them, explaining what World Mobile is, introducing them to World Mobile, and they resonate with it so much because they can go on our YouTube and see what's happening on the ground. 60,000+ daily active users, people who are connected to the internet for the first time or have improved internet for the first time. It's changing their lives. So that's why we're appearing. KOLs, media organizations are all getting in contact as a result of that. And yeah, I guess on this chart, it just sort of highlights what is going on in terms of the Deepin narrative. So on this chart, it's 60 days. This is from VanWatch. Over the past 60 days, the mentions of Deepin across the internet, not just Google, but all socials, media, etc., is up 300%. And World Mobile is mentioned 32% more over that time as well. And you see the biggest one, obviously the biggest category in this space, demographic in this space, is the US. And unlimited phone plan for US citizens is the top association there. So yeah, this is the kind of stuff that I use on a daily basis to help me curate what message I'm putting out, what content I'm putting out, and how to reach those organizations to ensure they're including us in the maps. And yeah, I know there's a second chart coming up, which
Yes,
I'm
there is.
super keen to talk about.
But before I jump into that second chart, let's just take a quick moment here because we are getting a lot more interest from the community here just surrounding how to actually become a part of World Mobile, which I think is a part of what we're doing here, right? We're talking about this, we're educating people. And as we do naturally, people want to come in and join the community. So we've got Shane asking, where can I buy WMT on ETH? So I think this is off the back of the comment that Rob just made that, World Mobile is not just a Cardano project. Yes, this is where the community got initially started. But as he mentioned, they are now available, I believe, on BNB as well as on ETH. So Emmanuel will come to you in just a second. If you guys can maybe just provide a little bit more clarity surrounding how somebody who has a MetaMask wallet can actually get access to the WMT token. We've also got another question coming in here from Everton Azul, right? So he's asking, what is the price of entry into becoming a node host or operator for World Mobile? We did touch on this a little bit earlier, Everton. Right now, I believe the floor price for the Earth nodes, which is just one of the many ways to actually become a contributor to the World Mobile network, is trading at a floor price of 80,000 ADA, or the equivalent of about $41,000 given the price of Cardano right now. Now, do keep in mind that we are expecting Operation Air node, which is another way to also provide infrastructure and earn from the World Mobile network as well. So you've got two different ways to go about it. But the way that is available right now, or at least one of the pieces that is available to be picked up, is the Earth Node NFTs. We are still waiting for Dpin to officially launch, and we're actually going to dive into that here in a little bit more when we turn that over to Emmanuel. So Emmanuel, jumping back to the first question, or maybe if you even want to add anything else here for Everton, how can people that are hearing about World Mobile for the first time actually become a part of the community, especially if they're on something like Ethereum or BNB?
So with these questions, what I usually do is say, come into our community channels, into Telegram, into Discord, and just reach out to me so I can provide you specific advice. Because there are lots of ways naturally to acquire tokens, to acquire Earth nodes, to register interest for air nodes, I should say. So just get in touch and we'll help you out.
All right. Thank you for that very much. All right. Let's jump into the second graph. Let me pull this back up here. And you highlighted this here. What is this showing for the community? And can you maybe just kind of break down the importance here of the volume times price and the revenue for the Dpin sector?
So what this is showing is where each area of Web3 gets its revenue streams from. So if you look at DeFi, they often get revenue streams from the trading volume, and they take a percentage of the trading volume transaction fees as their revenue. But obviously, as the cycle goes, as the sort of bear market comes in, volume goes down. So therefore, the percentage that they take goes down, and the amount of revenue that they take go down. So for Deepin, World Mobile and the rest of the Deepin category, we get our revenue from the amount of data transfer, or the amount of processing power rented out, or the amount of energy expended. And obviously you can see the price there is determined by the specific metric for each of those categories. And then the revenue comes from how much bandwidth you're using, or how much compute you're using, or how much energy you're using. And as I alluded to at the beginning of this session, every one of us right now is paying a plan to access the internet, mobile phone plans, etc. And that's just constant, 12 months a year. So the Deepin revenue streams are not dependent on the speculation of the cryptocurrency market, basically. And that's what makes it so strong, because you can then build sustainable businesses that can focus on expansion in areas that need, rather than, hey, the market isn't doing so well right now, so we can't do marketing because no one will listen. So that is why Deepin is so powerful from a business perspective.
Yes, and I've mentioned that before, which is one of the biggest reasons why I'm a huge fan of World Mobile. It's the fact that this is helping people outside of crypto and blockchain. People that don't know anything about this can actually utilize the network, and they benefit, and it also brings benefit back over to the crypto holders and just World Mobile in general. So I think you did a really good job of breaking that down and showing us, the difference between some of these other DeFi specific protocols or DeFi specific projects that base a lot of their revenue and future growth on the well-being of just crypto versus something like Dpin, which actually relies on things outside of the general sector. So even during the bear market, World Mobile can continue to see growth and adoption. We've got an interesting question coming in here, and maybe we just try to tackle this particular one before we move along. This is coming in from JS. So, knowing what we currently know, what are your user/node targets for the year of 2024? We did do a little bit of a round robin type of question like this before. Maybe we just quickly jump into this. I'll maybe kick things off, and then we'll go over to Clover, Rob, and then maybe we'll end up with Emmanuel giving some of his targets here for users and nodes. So I think last time that we spoke, I had somewhere around, I would say maybe 5,000 to 7,000 air nodes. Maybe that's a stretch, right? But that's how many I would personally love to see. And then in terms of users, if we could break that 100K, 150K threshold this year, I think that'd be really amazing. Again, with the bull market coming along, more people searching for Dpin, as we talked about earlier. I think those would kind of be my targets. Again, knowing what I know, knowing how diligent the World Mobile team is, how organized they are, and how dedicated and committed they are to actually seeing this vision play out. So over to you, Clover. How many users and air nodes are you expecting to see as a part of 2024?
Yeah, it's really kind of hard to guesstimate these things, especially when you think that we are going to be launching in a few different countries in 2024, and hearing the team talk in the latest AMA mentioning that there's actually even more countries, and the fact that we don't exactly know where aerostats are going to launch and how many users those aerostats are going to bring. But if I can take a wild guess, I would probably say anywhere between 250,000 to 500,000 users end of 2024, probably sitting at around 15 to 20,000 nodes by the end of 2024. That's something I would love to see. As far as data, I would love to see 100 terabytes of data coming through the network. Those are the numbers. I mean, any numbers are going to make me happy, but I'm just, calculatively thinking, considering how much we have grown, for 2022, 2023, and how fast we're growing in 2024. And basically seeing data come from the United States market would kind of determine all of this. But at least from what we have heard and learned, that the desire here in the United States, it's high. There's a lot of people wanting and needing connectivity, and especially when you think of the B2B aspects, and the wholesale customers of other MNOs passing through these air nodes. The expectations are pretty high for me, for sure.
Yeah, definitely a bullish case there. I appreciate that. Rob, what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, Cal made a ton of good points there. Adding new countries, Operation Airnode coming out. There's a lot of possibility here. And my prediction that we made back in December was that we would see 25,000 airnodes worldwide. We'd see 100,000 subscribers, customers that are paying a monthly bill, not just buying a temporary, 10-day or 1 month eSIM. And we're not talking about people that are just passing through, connecting to the network. I think we're going to see 25,000 airnodes, 100,000 paying customers to World Mobile, and 1 million. I believe we will see 1 million unique users on WMT Scan. Remember, a unique user is somebody who's possibly just driving through the area connecting to an air node. We saw 10,000. They did a 24-hour air node test in Reno, and 10,000 different devices connected to an air node that only has a 500 meter reach, right? It's not huge. It's a hotspot you put on. It might get your block if you set it up in a neighborhood. Where they set up, they had 10,000 unique connections in 24 hours. So I think that we would see, we'll see, especially if we can get anywhere near 25,000 air nodes. get processing data and transmitting signal, 1 million daily users, 100,000 customers, 25,000 air nodes. I still think that's a possibility for 2024.
Sounds like I need to update my numbers after hearing your guys' thoughts and comments around that. I mean, 10,000 connections on a single air node. I mean, that is pretty exciting to hear. And again, you start to multiply that number of users could drastically, or exponentially grow. Okay, over to you, Emmanuel. What are your thoughts surrounding the number of nodes and users for this year?
Yeah, so this is obviously an interesting question, and I'm obviously privy to information that isn't yet public. So I have a scope of what is possible and what is coming, actually. So I'm going to refocus the question slightly and set it out in terms of quality and mission. So for users, what we're targeting is the unconnected and the poorly connected. So that's going to be the biggest increase in users are going to come from people who really getting what they need. And in terms of nodes, I'm not going to name names in terms of our competitors, but you can go on some explorers and you can go on their maps of coverage, and then you can have a little dig into the nodes, and a lot of them are offline. So for us, it's all about having nodes that have little or no downtime, are consistently being used, and are rewarding their operators. So that's what we're targeting, and that might explain on both fronts why you are not seeing more nodes on WMT scan, because we want to make sure that the quality is there first.
You raised some really good points there as well. Obviously, again, as you mentioned at the beginning there, you're able to see a little bit deeper than we are. But I do appreciate that insight. There's one more quick question I want to just go ahead and tackle here. And this is coming in here from, let me just make sure I got this right, from a Big Jim Beef. What about inflation versus buyback? He posted some numbers there in the chat earlier. Jim, I'm going to try to go ahead and pull those up here, but I wonder if the base of the question is just, what is the point maybe of the buybacks, and how does the amount that we're buying back compare to how many tokens are coming out every couple of months with respect to inflation? So I don't mean to put you on the hot spot here, Emmanuel, but is there anything you can share with respect to, the buyback program versus the amount of tokens that we're seeing coming out with inflation as the Ripple network grows and expands?
So I guess I can put it into a context. So there's a cap to the number of tokens that will ever be released. So that's something to note. And the buybacks are there to obviously take from the open market and then reward node operators. So that might be Earth node operators and air node operators. Now, where the money from the buyback comes, it's very varied. And other people have requested a breakdown of this. And that's something I'm going to get internally and see what we can release. But the whole idea is to reward people who are contributing to expanding the sharing economy. So those two numbers, however you may, I don't want to stray too much into the investment side of things here naturally, but however you may look at what the positive and negative of those numbers are, the team is also aware of that, and will be acting through the buybacks in accordance with minimizing those negatives.
Thank you for the transparency there. I hope that gives Jim a little bit more clarity surrounding his question. Now, it's amazing. We've gone through so many topics already, and we haven't even hit what was discussed in the community chat. I feel like with all four of us here, we could probably go for hours on end. I do want to be respectful of everybody's time. I am on the road. So what I want to do is maybe just jump into some of the highlights, right? So we'll kind of do a round robin again. I think we'll maybe kick it off to Clover Notes to start us off first, if you don't mind, because again, I think you actually wrote down this entire tweet. So first and foremost, thank you for doing that. I'm sure that, you're working. It's not a, you're not having fun, but you're actually working and taking these notes here. But I find them extremely useful. I was actually traveling and I was able to read that breakdown when I landed, and that basically made me feel like I was there for the entire chat. Now, granted, nothing actually beats sitting down and listening to the hour. I think it was an hour and 40-minute chat, from the team, with Alan, Mickey, James, everybody there, on the actual call. But your breakdowns are definitely beneficial. So we'll kick it over to you first, again, because we've kind of already gone a little bit longer than expected with some of these other segments. What are some of the highlights that you want to maybe point out here that piqued your interest with this latest community space? And then what we could potentially do next time, if Emmanuel's willing to join us again for a potential part 2, right? We can maybe just kind of start the actual conversation by recapping and jumping into that particular aspect, which is, again, was the community call. So over to you surrounding anything that you want to share about the community call.
Yeah, so every time I listen to these community calls before I started doing these updates, I just was like blown away what the amount of information that's released in them, and it's kind of, for me at least, kind of hard to keep up with all the things that are said in the AMAs. So I decided to write them down. And, a lot of people have reached out to me and asked me, hey, what AI program do you use to, get this out so fast? Well, the AI program that I use is called Clover Notes Brain, writing everything down as I go. So it's I don't use any AI. I just type everything out as I hear it. Maybe I should proofread these things a little bit better, just because I'm writing them out as I go, and English is kind of my second language. So yeah, there might be some mistakes in there, so I do apologize. But highlights, lots. If you go through my notes, there's so many different things, but I love, I guess, the core objectives that were shared for 2024. On the blockchain development part, Mickey kept on saying that it's very important for the AirNode program to find several revenue models to bring on for AirNode operators, which they have gotten down. I love the whole talk about drones, and that study that Gregory mentioned. Let's see, what else? Antonio kind of briefly touched up on the blockchain side of things, and he did also mention as an objective that Aya is planned to launch in 2024, and then I love when he said that his main objective is to make it profitable for essentially all Earth node operators as well as World Mobile. So that to me was something very, very important. Just as Mickey said, their main objective when launching Operation AirNode or OPAN is for them to be profitable for people. The quantum antenna that James has been working on, and the patent that he put out and the team posted, it's something incredible. The fact that they're testing antennas in the University of USDC, and making sure that, I guess, band 71 can work with CBRS air nodes together simultaneously, shows the level of expertise this team is putting in the launch of the United States. Another thing that really stood out to me the most is, and Rob always talks about this, is the level of expertise this team has. And James Sag did mention in the space that he's currently running a telco, and then he has been running this mobile telco network in the USA for 15 years. So the fact that he's one of the people in charge of launching Operation AirNode in Reno, and the fact that he's gone through the hurdles of how this process works, really shows you that this team is there and they know exactly what they're doing and how to launch this thing properly and how to make it profitable. I really enjoyed Christian coming on. He's the regional manager in Reno. I love when you can hear, I guess, from someone on the ground installing. He keeps on posting stuff on Twitter, which I really appreciate. Sorry, X, which I really appreciate. Him climbing these roofs and giving us like the update on that. I highly enjoyed that. So many different things. Yeah, I'll let you guys like jump in and also kind of share what you really enjoyed. But this just I'm gonna keep on doing these, because I love going back to them and actually kind of like reading them again to kind of remind myself like how much this team is putting out. Just because there's so many different things happening in World Mobile that at least I kind of tend to forget some aspects of the release. So yeah.
I would love to see a collaboration between Clover Node and HYDRAX. You bring in the data, HYDRAX helps you to somewhat visualize that. I think that would be impressive to see that. And then just like we do with the Cardano developer report, right? You can take a look at that like from a year ago and then compare that to, this year, next year, etc., to really be able to kind of take a look at the state of things way back. And again, just look at where things are now. For me, it's been impressive to just see number of transactions, operators, scripts, etc., continue to grow on Cardano. And when you're able to look back to see where you were, you're like, man, I used to be so excited about those numbers. And then you look a year later, they've quadrupled. It's just really impressive to be able to track that growth there. So I appreciate your highlights there. Over to Rob, and then I think we'll close out there with Emmanuel, touching on what some of his highlights and interests were as a part of this community space.
Before I go, I have a very quick question for everybody. I've been probably the biggest offender of this, but during this space, I've seen everyone take a drink out of something. So I'm just kind of curious, what's everyone's drink of choice today? And I'll just start. I have a World Mobile mug, but it is filled with Celsius energy drink. What are you guys drinking?
I am sipping on a LaCroix, 0 calories. Let's see here. 0 sugar, 0 fat, and it is pineapple strawberry flavor. I love these drinks. I had a friend who just put me on these about a month back, and I've been hooked. So if you guys have not tried the LaCroix, they are amazing.
It's
Clover,
funny. My parents. It's funny. My parents love these. They always buy them from Costco. I'm just sipping on some coffee right here. Yeah, that's about it. Oh, and I have a bottle of water. I drink lots of water every single day. Yeah, make sure you drink your alkaline water. Well, it's very important.
There you go.
Yeah, but I always.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I said Emmanuel might be drinking a beer there. I don't know. That's what I saw, but
that's some wine.
That's awesome.
Almost right. It is a Saturday evening for me here in the UK. So I am drinking out of a Le Chouffe, which is a Belgian beer. You can't really see it, but there we go. A Le Chouffe glass, and inside is a what is it now? It's a Swedish cider, blackcurrant and apple, I think it is. So it's been very useful.
Yeah, great way to kick off your portion there, Rob. Over to you. I mean, one other thing I want to quickly highlight. We got another content creator in the house here, Cardano with Paul. Thank you, Paul, for tuning in here. Fellow Earth Node operators, well, if you guys have not checked out his channel, make sure to go ahead and do so. He and I collaborate pretty frequently. It would actually be nice to actually get you on here as well for one of these streams, Paul. I know you got a brand new daughter. Congratulations. But if you're definitely up for it, we've got the room for you. You're always welcome on here to come on and chat about your experience with World Mobile. So back over to you, Rob. You've got the stage. What are some of the highlights from the latest community space?
I was really happy to hear the confirmation come out about expansion, and we've seen on a lot of these dev diaries and things mention of countries like Kenya and Nigeria, and so to hear that hear them talk about those countries in person, it tells me that look, again, this is the bigger vision. We're in 5 countries right now, and there's a lot more coming. There's a lot more coming this year. And so it kind of little teasers here, because we don't have any activity that we know of from those countries. Same thing with the Philippines. They just got back from the Philippines, and if you know anything about the Philippines, it's a large majority of the Philippines are islands, just like in Greece. There's a lot of small islands there that are going to need air nodes and connectivity, and so a lot of opportunity there to really spread out the infrastructure. So I think that there's going to be a lot more announced, but they've teased for a while now, and now we're seeing now we're actively hearing about what's happening in those countries. They Antonio mentioned it briefly, but with everything going on the IA chain, and having MNOs coming and wanting to be a part of this, there's going to be a lot of opportunity because everything is going to run through the Earth nodes, and so very, very exciting if you're an Earth node operator that there's going to be that opportunity. They talked also about the cell phone nodes and the ability to earn and participate and do things just by having a cell phone that is flashed to or uploaded with the program that they're going to provide, which is going to be very, very beneficial. That way, you don't need to have a $40,000 Earth node and computer expertise or pay somebody to run it for you. You'll be able, you don't have $20,000 to buy an air node, or it'll be, there's going to be opportunities along the way. And so hearing that and just knowing that this is not a one-trick pony, this is an opportunity that's going to meet people where they're at and expand to different countries, and people are going to be able to afford it. People are going to be able to operate it, to earn an income. You hear about these things. It's very, very exciting to know that this is not a get rich quick scheme for some people sitting at the upper levels of this pyramid scheme. This is legitimately, it is being spread out, and it is being whatever you can contribute. There's going to be opportunities there to do that. So when I hear them talk about these things, that really, really fires me up. And there's so many things that came out on this space. I had to give it a second listen. But again, just knowing that there are plans that are bigger and grander than they have announced, and there are things that they're just waiting to tell us. I mean, look at Emmanuel right now. This guy knows some things. He knows a ton right now, and I'm going to beg him off stage to give me some sort of information. And I don't know that he won't, but that's okay. I'm going to try. These guys know what's coming, and you don't see people jump ship to go to other little crypto projects with World Mobile. The people that are here, they see the vision, they see what's happening, they stay here. And that continuity of staff and team, that in and of itself, without seeing these updates and these highlights, that in and of itself tells you, hey, these guys see it, they get it, they know what's coming. We need to be a part of this.
Nicely put there. I do want to quickly just plug in the actual community space here as well. So for anybody who missed it, this did take place on, let's see here, it was this past Thursday. I think it was right on the 31st, or no, on the 1st of February. The Twitter spaces are available online for 30 days. When they're recorded. After that, they do go away. So if you guys want to hear the actual team talking about everything that we've chatted about as a part of today's live stream, make sure to go ahead and follow World Mobile at World Mobile Team. They've also got a separate account which is at World or WMT token, I believe. And they've also got separate Twitter pages for their eSIM product as well. So if you guys are not already aware of this, definitely make sure to go ahead and follow them there. These community updates are done once per month. All right, last but definitely not least, Emmanuel, over to you just for your highlights. What kind of piqued your interest? Of course, you probably already knew a lot of this was going to be released anyway, but like, what are you focused on? What gets you the most excitement about World Mobile?
I guess just a quick public service announcement. We will also upload the community update to YouTube, so it will stay there for a lot longer. Anybody can go back and listen to it. And then also to Rob's point about trying to text me to get extra stuff. Ambassadors are under NDA, so we can reveal extra stuff to ambassadors. And that's a great reason why you should get in touch. And the ambassador program is running. We want more of you. So if you want to become an ambassador, if you want the extra alpha, you've got to sign that dotted line and help to contribute. So definitely reach out in the Discord. And I just wanted to touch upon a point that Rob made as well about the income side of things. So if you go onto WMT Scan right now, the top 10, you can see the top 10 daily revenues from the Zanzibar air nodes. And the top one is around $60 in the past 24 hours. Now, according to BDEX, the average monthly salary in Zanzibar is around $190. So in one day, you earn about 33% of what a Zanzibarian can earn 33% of what they would earn in a month. So we're not only connecting the unconnected, connecting the poorly connected, but World Mobile can be a real economic driver in these locations too. And you see that with the partner program that's being set up, you can set up businesses around this, etc. So I just wanted to highlight that too. Maybe we can talk about the income side of it on another show. But onto the updates. Obviously, I know a lot. I knew a lot that was there. So I want to just to say thanks, Clover, so much for writing all of that down. That was a public service to all of us in the team. Like everyone's been sharing it internally just to catch up those who couldn't make it. So that was fantastic. And we do want to empower people like you. I know I've been speaking individually to each ambassador and to many community members who have ideas. I want to empower people where they want to do things like that to do it more readily and with our full support. But onto the updates, because I know a lot and because I also want everyone to go and watch it, what I'm going to do is pick out a few quotes that I wrote down. So from the amazing Gregory Gottlieb, who I also found out is an actor in his spare time, which is amazing. Go and listen to the space if you want to hear more about that. His quote, "We're having a great time with Vodacom." And we actually are. So that's something to be interested. Vodacom, 200 million users across 8 African countries, wants to do more with the aerostat. Let's put it that way. From Antonio, 2024 will be the year when Aya will realize its role as a telecommunications blockchain. The dev team are working super, 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 super hard. And obviously you heard from, well, you will hear from James Tagg if you go and listen to the space, that we've basically patented, or he's patented, the use of blockchain in decentralized cellular communications networks in the US. So that is a massive thing. I'm not a lawyer, so I can't say whether that means nobody else can use it, but that's what it would appear to me. And then I'll give you 2 from Mr. T himself. So Operation Airnode is the final step. We believe that in some part of the year, it will be opened up for Zanzibar, Mozambique, Pakistan, etc., etc. Listen to the space and you can hear some more about that. And then the final one, which should encourage you to listen to the space even more, is from Mr. T himself, "Embargo me, Mike." So go and listen if you want to find out what he wanted to be embargoed, and read Clover's recap if you don't have time to listen to the full thing. It gives you quite a good idea of what was said.
Nicely put there. Every time that I've gotten the opportunity to sit down and actually do an interview with Mickey, I always try to ask him and, get some alpha, but he always has to bring up Mike and his embargoes. We've got to fix that problem here, Emmanuel. Mike, if you're hearing this, man, I don't know what we need to do, but you gotta relax on those embargoes, man. We definitely do appreciate that insight there. As Emmanuel mentioned, if you guys want to find out just more about World Mobile, get involved. Or if you're already involved, right, reach out to him, potentially become an ambassador. Again, just spreading the goodwill and just what World Mobile is doing here. Now, as we get ready to shut things down, I typically like to end these with just closing thoughts and comments. I feel like we've kind of done that with some of these highlights, but maybe just we take a couple of minutes, each. If you want to skip this last round, that is completely okay. And maybe we just kind of work back in the same order again. So Clover, as we get ready to shut the stream down, anything that you want to share with the community about World Mobile, your experience, just anything overall, and then we'll come over to you, Rob. And today, because we have a very special guest, we'll let Emmanuel be the final closer.
Let me just find my let me just find my unmute button over here real quick.
You're good.
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone that always shows up here in this live stream, that shows us love. I want to thank the whole entire World Mobile community for showing up. And yeah, just be involved. Go ahead and sign up on that whitelist for Airnode sales. It will close pretty soon. It will give you the opportunity to be the very first owner of an Airnode, and be the very first part of an amazing project like World Mobile. And yeah, I also wanted to thank Emmanuel for for everything that he does. Honestly, like I would say that Emmanuel was that missing piece that community needed. He's always on the chats. He's always ready to answer questions, always available when you need them. And so just giving you props for that. Your experience in this space really shines, through the community manager position. I know that you did mention that in the beginning you're kind of like a World Mobile newbie, but I would say otherwise. Like you've came on board and you've gotten accustomed to this community super fast, and so much already for World Mobile. So keep it up. I'm really excited to have you on board. And yeah, that's all. Wishing everyone an amazing weekend. And yeah, that's it.
Thank you for the closing thoughts there. Before I jump over to Rob to get his thoughts, we did get a couple of late minute questions. So, when UK, I feel like this pops up on every single stream that we've done so far. I know with respect to the eSIM, the team has provided that kind of coverage there. I'm not sure that we've seen any air nodes. Again, Emmanuel is probably more aware than any of us here as to whether or not there's anything deployed there or whether or not they're just testing anything there. So Emmanuel, maybe I'll give you a second to answer that. And then there's a second follow-up here coming in from Curly Knox. When can I pay for an eSIM with ADA? So I'm not sure if you guys are also working on the back end to, allow for people to purchase eSIMs utilizing ADA. But either one of those, if you want to go ahead and answer them here, that's completely okay. Or if you guys want to maybe direct CM and Curly Knox to join the Discord, right, then I think you guys can also answer those there as well. So anything that you want to tackle there with those two questions, Emmanuel?
So obviously join the Discord. I can give you many more resources there, but there is something in the UK already. There's something in Wales. You can go to YouTube and you can find, I think it's Connecting Panacran or something like that. The link is in the Discord and I share it regularly on X because I'm from the UK as well. So I have the same question. And on the eSIMs, I avoid all when questions, but the team is always working on things like that.
Thank you for the clarity. I do appreciate that there. Over to Rob for closing comments.
It's amazing. The time on these calls go by so fast. And you look at the clock and, I feel like we're just getting warmed up here and now we got to go. And that helps when you have an incredible host, the award-winning, the #1 Cardano influencer. If you are not following Fareed on YouTube right now, if you're watching YouTube, click the like button. He gets more attention that way. The algorithm works. Follow him, subscribe. I have 3 different YouTube accounts. Just every time I plug into a new email, it just opens up a YouTube. So every account that I have, I follow Dap Central. Just, it's kind of cheating, but get him subscribers, like these things, share these things. Share the links. I text my wife the link so that way she has it and can watch it from her phone. When we're done with these. So having an incredible host, a facilitator, somebody who's so versed in doing these types of things online, the streams, the sharing, the facilitating. Fareed, you're amazing, and you deserve a lot more credit than you get, and people are starting to realize that, I think, and I think it's going to be an incredible journey. I'm very, very happy to be a part of these in such a small way with you.
Thank you.
We have Cal, who I always tell the story. I recognize Cal's face. I never talked to him, never interact with him. I got off an elevator and there's Cal's face right there. That beautiful mug right there. Cal's face too. But got off the elevator and I saw him in a World Mobile hoodie and I'm like, I know that face. I walked up and we've been fast friends ever since. And you watch what Cal does, and everything that Cal does for this community is as much as he works with daily posts, commentary. He's everywhere. He knows everyone. He interacts with the community almost as much as Emmanuel does. And Emmanuel's paid for it. Cal's not. So hint. Cal's freaking awesome. He does such a good job. And then Emmanuel coming in, and a couple months ago, I'm like, who's this guy? What's his obsession with cats? I mean, I have cats because I catch mice on my farm. That's about it. Every channel, every different channel in Discord, there's like 70 of them. You know, Emmanuel's responding to people, all the telegrams, Twitter. The guy's everywhere. The hustle that you put into this, the energy that you have, and just that you can hear when you talk, Emmanuel, the smile on your face. And it's same with Fareed. The joy that you guys have is just incredible, and the passion. As hard as the three of you guys work, I am the slug of this group, and there's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about that. The effort that you guys put in is beyond. It's beyond inspiring, and I feel like, you know, I try and come up with these witty things from time to time, because I feel like, if not, you guys are just carrying me with all the work that you guys do. So I'm just so happy to be friends with everybody here, to be a part of this, to share in this experience. It's incredible. So you guys are amazing. Definitely the highlights of the show are being on with you guys and talking through all the stuff that we're so passionate about together. I just want to say real quick about World Mobile, because I've seen some in the comments here, just ways to get involved. And I know that we've talked about this in the past. You see different things, on the different forums, but there are ways to get involved. And if you listen to the space on Thursday, if you read Cal's thing, you're going to see some highlights from that. But again, you can be a millionaire, and you could be barely making it, and you can be involved in World Mobile. You know, if you have a cell phone, you can if it's an Android phone, you can download the app and scan for points right now, and those points can be used to buy things in the store, gift cards, potentially buying eSIMs, topping up your account once World Mobile is taking paying customers for voice. There's going to be opportunities there just by scanning, and what you're doing is you're actually helping World Mobile, because you are hitting those towers, you're finding where the connectivity is, you're able to show them, hey, we need to heavily deploy here, or maybe this isn't our initial deployment zone. It helps them strategize. So you do an amazing job just by having the app on your phone and hitting that scan button every 15 minutes. There's an opportunity. If you have a second Android phone, you're not going to need, there's going to be an opportunity to operate an actual node on your phone. You don't have to pay a subscription for that one. So if you just have an old phone, or you buy one just specifically just to use for this, you're going to be able to earn with World Mobile by having a cell phone that you're not using, literally. You know, if you have some money and you want to buy some crypto, it's on 4 different chains right now: Conflux, BNB, ETH. Everyone knows that that's on Cardano, because that's kind of where we got the initial launch before the bridge. Opportunity to buy. What can you do with that? You can stake it. And right now it's 7.8% annually. So it's 0.666 per month is what you're getting. And that compounds monthly. So you can earn by doing it. Also, if number go up, and we believe that numbers are going to go up. I believe numbers are going to go up. Ways to financially profit. The other things are air nodes. You can buy an air node. You can operate an air node. If you don't have the money to go spend $9,000 or $18,000 or $100,000 on an air node, you know, you could buy those, have somebody run it for you if you're not in that city. If you don't have that kind of money, but you have some technical ability, get CBRS certified. Cal's done it. Cal will tell you how. You can operate air nodes for people that want to be remote owners, or people that don't have the technical ability to do that. That pays in fiat. You're going to make money in your currency no matter where you're at in the world. And it gives opportunities. You know, we're going to see huge opportunities in Africa where people are going to be able to operate these nodes. Even if I own the one that they're operating in Kenya, or Cal owns the one that they're operating in Zanzibar, somebody's going to be able to operate that and bring in a sustainable income. And you're going to keep that money in the local environment, whether it be the city that you're in or the country that somebody else is in. And rather than, we've always heard that in Africa, what's happened, settlers have come in and strip mine the country and strip mine the continent, taking all the resources. World Mobile is keeping the resources there. It's using the community. It's benefiting the people that are there. I love that. Earth nodes, you can buy an Earth node. If you don't know how to operate it, there's people that are doing node as a service, and they will operate it for you for a percentage of gains. If you know how to do it, fantastic. These are going to be huge. They said on the space today, or I'm sorry, on Thursday, that the Aya chain is going to host mobile network operators, and they have a list. They have a long list of people that want to be a part of it. They want to use the blockchain, but they don't want to build their own. And Aya is going to do that. And the only thing that's going to be operating on Aya to maintain all this is going to be the Earth node. And so as an Earth node operator, it's not just going to be what's going on in World Mobile, which is going to be huge. We've already talked about how we anticipate 1 million users this year. At least I do. And Minutes Network, Mickey's brother, has a massive 20 million users is what they're going to be announcing here very, very soon, that are going to be running through what Minutes Network is doing. They're going to be on Aya. There's going to be others that are going to be using specifically this. So Earth nodes, very, very, very beneficial, potentially very lucrative. I'm banking on it. I know that others are as well. So many good things happening right here. So many different ways to participate and earn. There's one guy who's rather famous within this community that he has outright said, I don't have any Earth nodes, but he's so technically proficient and so good at this, he's going to be operating these for others. And there's a couple people that have hinted that as well. So you don't have to own the Earth node to be able to do it if you know what you're doing. Many opportunities here. It's inspiring. It's great to be able to be a part of this. And I'm very, very much looking forward to what World Mobile's doing. Mickey has said February is a huge month. Big things are going to be happening over the next 3 to 4 weeks. And so just wait for those. I'm very, very anxious because Emmanuel, even though he says he gives me alpha, he hasn't told me squat, or at least not enough. Stuff's coming, and you can tell by the excitement. You can hear it in their voices, the enthusiasm, the energy, just again, and the smiles that are on their faces. Emmanuel, we can hear it when you talk. We can hear it when Mickey talks. Just that grin that he has. It's amazing. It's awesome to be a part of it, and I love doing it with you guys. I love being a part of this space. I love being a part of this community and having people that I believe so much in, respect so much, that I'm able to do this with. So thank you guys very much. That was more than 2 minutes. Freed, I apologize, but thanks for hosting the space and giving us this opportunity to be here.
It's my pleasure, Rob. We love you just like you love us. We all contribute different things to the network, right? Just like you mentioned there, you might have somebody who's got the actual liquidity to purchase an NFT, whereas you might have somebody who has the technical know-how as to actually how to set that up, right? So I think the biggest takeaway for me is just to understand, your gifts, right? God-given gifts, but then also understand where you can fit into the picture. And so I'm just falling into my place, which is the content creator. Emmanuel's falling into his place, which is the community manager, yourself and Clover ambassadors, right? Clover providing his AI skills, you're providing skills in terms of just spreading the knowledge. So I want to also just kind of return the shout out back over to you, Rob, as well, because you've been diligently for, I believe, over the last year or so, right? Hosting spaces. So for anybody who's not aware of the ENO or the Earth Node Alliance, I believe it's run by Rob and Clover, but you guys take the time every single Saturday, right? Whether it's on here now or whether it's on Twitter, to also go ahead and actually spread the good word about World Mobile. So definitely don't think yourself of as the least here. If anything, like I said, I feel that way. I'm just kind of providing the platform, but I think you do an amazing job yourself, Rob. So Emmanuel, now that the bar has been set, right? How do you top that? Over to you, man.
I don't know really, but to be honest, actually, what all of you have said lead really well into what I was planning to say anyway. So that's brilliant. So on everything that sort of Rob has been saying in how you can participate, the idea that I have is to put together a massive piece of content that can go on every single channel in every single language, just as a call to action for everything you can do. And that can be shared wide. It can be shared wide. And hopefully that will give people just the ease of how to interact with this, because I know there's so much going on here. And in terms of the content that you just mentioned, Fareed, like the ENO Alliance content, this stream, and it's becoming a regular Saturday sitting for me. There are my plans to highlight this and give this a lot more visibility. So we'll get in touch offline, all of you, as to how you can do that and really propel all of this content. But yeah, I wanted to start by just thanking all of you for your kind words. It's I really appreciate it. The reason why I'm so motivated is not just because of the mission, and the mission is the super important global mission. Come on, it's 3 billion people that are unconnected. Like, that's amazing. It's if I help to solve that, that's my life. But it's also you guys, like, it's the community. Every day people are reaching out saying, how can I become an air node operator in Ghana, in Gambia, in Croatia? How can I buy an aerostat, crowdfund an aerostat, crowdfund an earth node, etc. And most of these people, when I start to do a little bit of digging, nearly all of them are involved in some sort of charitable work. So whether that be helping connect the unconnected, whether it be literally just helping people in the in the cities, in wealthy cities, get better access to education, like, all of that really, really inspires me. And that's why I want to sort of enable everyone, as you said, Fareed, God-given talents, to put it to use in our mission. And then directly, Fareed, like, I want to highlight you as well. Thank you for being a great host and inviting our ambassadors on here to spread the message every other week, which is fantastic. And yes, I'm going to do another plug for the ambassadors as well. Thank you guys for being ambassadors. Anyone can become an ambassador. Speak to me. We'll go through your talents. We'll see how you best fit. And if you can contribute to the network, we are there. And as a benefit, you get to sign the NDA and get some alpha before everyone else. I'll see how much more I can reveal in the next coming days. I've got some exciting plans involving James Tagg for the ambassadors. That's some alpha for you. And then I guess what I want to say about World Mobile and this year is we want to do two things, really. So we want to announce ourselves as the leaders in Deepin, because we are the leaders in Deepin. We have the best hardware on the ground. We have the best team, technical expertise. Like, come on, the person that invented the touchscreen and is patenting the technology that everyone will use for this specific method is running our architecture. Like, that is something. So we want to announce ourselves as the leader as Deepin. But in the more traditional space as well, we want to announce ourselves as the leaders in connecting the unconnected. Like, as was said on the space, there's lots of people trying to jump, lots of big companies, big MNOs jumping at us. How can we extend our network so it's profitable for us and we reach those people too? And this is not just a goal set by us, not just a goal that they want to make some more money. The UN's 2030 agenda is to connect the unconnected. So we're going to help to do that. And that's it, really. It's going to be an exciting 2024.
Yeah, I couldn't think of a better team or better group or just a better project, right, to help lead that kind of mission. Ladies and gentlemen, that will do it here for today's live stream. I'm joined by Emmanuel as our special guest. Again, thank you so much for your time. Community manager for their Telegram, Discord, and Reddit. We've got Clover Nodes and Rob. Both of their Twitters are down below. I'll go ahead and add Emmanuel's down there as well. World Mobile Ambassadors. Again, really helping to push this message out. As always, if you guys did find today's video to be helpful, I would really appreciate you if you could smash that thumbs up. If it's your first time stopping by Dapp Central and you want more content like this, consider subscribing. And very lastly, before we head on out, I ran across this awesome tweet I want to just go ahead and quickly share here, highlighting World Mobile, man. You know, World Mobile, or WMT, is king. It's still a baby right now, still super early. Again, if you guys want to jump on board, make sure to go ahead and jump into their socials. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, that will do it here. We will see you guys 2 weeks from today. Again, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Take care. Cheers. Bye-bye.